Hey, Robbie, Jack here from Flat Cap Hero Talk again. Here to kind of break down tactically and kind of, maybe my thoughts kind of quickly on maybe how Tottenham got the best out of Man City, maybe what Antonio Conte's plan sort of was in order to maybe get a result against City. And it definitely came out and worked to full effect. So basically, these are kind of going to be my sort of thoughts, my sort of breakdown as to maybe how Spurs probably got the best out of City. You could point to other things maybe that I'm missing here, but this is what I especially noticed as to how Spurs got the best out of City. The first one being is that Spurs made City play out wide. I'm going to be kind of showing my screen here, everybody, of kind of a something I just want to maybe gauge everybody's thoughts on here quickly. You can see that right there where I feel like at times we were almost playing like a 5-4-1. I don't know what others think, but it felt like we were doing a version of almost a 5-4-1 at times, where we were clogging up the middle. You can see with the highlight of Ben Davies, Bentancur, Højbjerg, Romero, and Dyer there. No matter how much fluidity Man City have, no matter how many different movements, different sort of runs in behind, different sort of decoy runs and distractions they can make, if you have a defense that's very switched on, and even if you have that many bodies in there, you do increase your chances of being able to kind of withstand those very clever runs and that very clever attacking movement that they will try to do through the middle. And we are able to withstand it. So we then force them to play out wide. But when you do force them to play out wide, you have Kulusevski and Sonny dropping back. It felt like Sonny and Kulusevski were practically playing more as almost like left mids and right mids than they were even playing as like part of the front three with Kane. Of course, they would get forward and join Kane, but especially Kulusevski was dropping back to help Emerson here. And so that allowed Emerson to be able to kind of, control Sterling and Gundogan with Romero, and also Emerson could then double team Joao Cancelo with Kulusevski in case, Joao Cancelo was ever in a good position. And Joao Cancelo, in my belief, is one of the best fullbacks in world football. I actually thought to the best we could, really, made him have to struggle a bit, really had to make him think a bit, have to make him work a lot harder than he's probably used to. And we also caught him out defensively, I think, a few times as well, which is hard to do. So really expertly done on the right-hand side. But if people can probably see what I do mean by this is we kind of almost formed like a four-man midfield, almost like what you would see in like a 4-4-2 sort of thing, a very flat four in the midfield that makes it actually very difficult to penetrate through the middle. It's 4-4-2 is one of the most historically solid defensive formations. It's actually quite, if done right, it's actually quite difficult to break down. A good example would be Hungary in the Euros, an unbelievable defensively, structured and organized team that really good teams struggled to break down. And to a degree, you could say we did a version of that. Of course, we had the back five there, but we had that similar four-man midfield that just makes it really difficult to play through the middle. It makes it really difficult to be able to kind of penetrate and kind of dominate the middle of the park. And then the other part as well is that with that four-man midfield then makes it even hard to play out wide, because then that midfielder or that winger that is tucking into the midfield can then go out wide and put pressure out there. So sincerely, I think that was kind of maybe where Spurs single-handedly kind of made life difficult for Man City, at least, on the defensive end. Going forward, I'm kind of going to stop sharing my screen here, but going forward, everybody, I kind of thought what Spurs did especially well was just being able to continue, the counterattacks whenever the opportunity arose. Sometimes you're defending so long, and it really is hard to generate that energy, generate that power, that sort of momentum to lead a counterattack. And it felt like Spurs were able to do it every opportunity they could, with the help of Harry Kane, who can just play practically any pass he wants on the pitch. That certainly helped a lot. But there were a lot of players that really were leading counterattacks and pushing hard for counterattacks that really did help the squad. I would say Emerson is a good example in that, despite him playing a very defensive role, he was going forward in the first half to really maybe, make City think a bit. And we were also able to play him behind. I mean, Man City, is good of a team they are, they do kind of have the consistent problem of kind of balls over the top and, balls in behind, in between the lines. They just have always struggled with that because the way that they try to play and the way they try to win the ball back high up the pitch. And we just also took advantage of that. So sincerely, I think those are some major things to look at. Not being wasteful going forward, especially. I mean, really good finishing from the boys today, really good clinical passing, really good clinical movement, unbelievable, just, clinical nature, ruthless finishing. ruthless counterattacks, and that really is necessary in order to beat a team like City. The confident center backs in positions, probably one of the last things I'll say here. Romero and Eric Dyer, I thought were absolutely class in possession. Ben Davies was similarly as good, but they were really never flustered under pressure, didn't really lose the ball too many times. Were able to, switch play when needed. That's what I loved from Romero. He's able to switch play to Ben Davies. Same thing with Eric Dyer, able to play passes and confidently that other players couldn't. We do see how much Sanchez sometimes does hurt us in possession after a game like that, seeing, what Romero can do in that position. And I think that's another element. So when Man City did put us under pressure, we had center backs that were confident in possession. So we didn't just, boot it away every time or chuck it away every time when put under a little bit of pressure. And I think that also helped us out tremendously as well. Of course, the work of Højbjerg and Bentancur helped. They almost sometimes pressed in like a front two, with Kane. Sometimes they joined Kane to press at times. They were absolutely immense. But those are going to wrap up. I did want to do it a bit quickly and shortly. So those are all my thoughts, everybody, on everything that I thought maybe Spurs did well in order to beat City. Perhaps there's some things I'm probably missing, maybe some things I've brushed over. Feel free to put them in the comments for Robbie. Do appreciate it, Robbie. And I'll be catching you guys. And thank you very much. Come on, you Spurs.